It's interesting to see all the chaos going on. We talked about California. I guess there could be raids on the Employment Development Department tomorrow morning. That's a rumor. And it feels very chaotic, doesn't it? Had a conversation with someone who said, well, if Germans had won the World War II, the Second World War, all Americans would be speaking German. I just said horseshit. It didn't happen when China was being invaded by Japan and eviscerated. This is back in the 30s, mid 30s. Look at the rape of Nanking, and it continued to happen. And it reminds me of a story that there was a very high level U.S. official who was attending a reception on the Rue d'Étienne in Paris, and was visiting with a French official who was complaining about the presence of the U.S. in Europe through NATO. And, the Frenchman was on a tirade, and he was saying, you'll all be speaking German, if Hitler had won. And so the U.S. official was very quiet and then raised one question, and the French official said, what is it? The American said, do you speak German? Sprechen Sie ein bisschen Deutsch? And the French official was taken back, but finally replied, no, I do not. And the American said, you're welcome. Bottom line is, things that seem sensible on the surface are actually not sensible when you get to the subcutaneous and then into the tissues and ligaments and bone marrow. And the world would not be speaking German if Hitler had won. Germany had a population of around 70 million at the beginning of World War II. It's got about 80 million now. The population of the world at the beginning of World War II was 2.3 billion. So Germany only had, 3% of the world's population. It had some colonies where German was spoken, areas of Chile, areas of Argentina. And English was and continues to be the primary language spoken in the United States. And because of the limited number of Germans, it's ridiculous to perceive that they can impose their will on such a large population. And take a look at Russia. The Soviets have far more people than the Germans, and all of their satellite states retain their native languages. Why? Because to force a subjugated people to change only creates more ill will and backlash and makes the task of governing more difficult. The Russians are not going to suddenly start speaking German. It's not the way it goes. And the beauty of the Roman Empire, with all of its faults, was it allowed the practice of local religions, and they didn't try to force everybody to speak German. It's interesting, if you go back to the time of Jesus, there was Aramaic, there was Hebrew, there was a lot of Greek spoken. That was actually probably the most common language spoken. So this man didn't understand what he was talking about, and he was going ahead and seeing something that some writer had put somewhere. It's pretty funny. There's a Soviet satellite country, the Czech Republic, and I asked, what is the general population language? And he said Czech, German, French, English, some Spanish, some Italian. And I said, and no Russian? And he said, no, nobody speaks Russian. So that's that. They have a lyrical language, the Czech. Please is prosim, prosim. And the way to say thank you is dakui. And good is verbano, and so on and so forth. So I like it. The German language is a bit guttural, as we all know. So that's that. But, when the Germans came here, they learned English. When the French came here, they learned English. So that's It's funny. So, and, once again, there was another anecdotal story where, there was a senior German who was a big, impressive guy, gray beard. And, he was asked the same question. He says, "That is because you won the war. If we had won, you would have learned German." And so never let anybody tell you the Germans don't have a sense of humor. It's definitely there, but it's definitely dry.